The 1990s were more than just another decade of music. They were a cultural earthquake. A time when sounds collided, genres blended, and new legends were born. To understand the 90s is to understand a moment when music reshaped the world. As the decade began, the world was shifting. The internet was just emerging, MTV was still king, and radio dominated daily life. People didn't scroll for new songs. They waited for them, on tapes, CDs, TV countdowns, or the radio DJ's next pick. That anticipation created a culture where music wasn't just entertainment. It was an event. And it all started with a revolution from Seattle. Grunge erupted like a thunderstorm. Bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam tore down the polished glam rock of the 80s. Their sound was raw, loud, emotional, a generation screaming back at the world. When Nirvana released Smells Like Teen Spirit in 1991, it didn't just become a hit. It became an anthem. Suddenly, teenagers everywhere swapped neon for flannel, and grunge transformed from a local scene into a global movement. But the 90s were never defined by just one sound. Halfway across the world, pop music was entering a golden age. The decade saw the rise of iconic stars who would dominate charts for years. Britney Spears, with her breakout single, Baby One More Time, became a cultural icon almost overnight. The Spice Girls launched a wave of girl power, delivering one of the most recognizable identities in pop history. And boy bands, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Westlife, created a tidal wave of harmonies, choreography, and global fandom. Pop wasn't just catchy. It was everywhere. From shopping malls to car radios to school dances, these songs became the soundtrack of an entire generation. Meanwhile, hip-hop was rising from the underground to the mainstream, and it didn't just rise, it exploded. The 90s saw the birth of legends: Tupac Shakur, the Notorious B.I.G., Nas, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Lauryn Hill. Each artist brought a voice shaped by reality, struggle, identity, and pride. Dr. Dre's The Chronic introduced G-Funk. Biggie brought storytelling with smooth flow. Tupac mixed poetry with activism and raw honesty. Hip-hop became more than music. It became a cultural force, influencing fashion, language, and art. And despite the East Coast-West Coast rivalry that shaped much of the decade, hip-hop's impact expanded worldwide. While hip-hop dominated the streets, electronic music was quietly rewriting the future. The 90s saw the rise of raves, neon lights, and underground clubs pulsing with new sounds. Techno boomed in Detroit, house music evolved in Chicago, and Europe embraced trance and Eurodance. Groups like Daft Punk, The Prodigy, and the Chemical Brothers pushed boundaries and transformed dance music into something bold, energetic, and unforgettable. Even rock reinvented itself again. Alternative rock flourished with bands like Radiohead, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day, and R.E.M., each one carving its own space: experimental, funky, emotional, rebellious. And then there was the rise of one of the biggest genres of the decade, pop punk. With fast guitars, emotional lyrics, and rebellious energy, bands like Blink-182, Green Day, and The Offspring created a sound that defined youth culture. These weren't just songs, they were the voice of teenagers everywhere. But maybe the most interesting thing about 90s music is how wildly different these genres were, yet they coexisted. It was normal to see charts where Mariah Carey, Nirvana, Tupac, and the Backstreet Boys all fought for the #1 spot. No decade before or after blended genres with such dramatic impact. The 90s also changed how we listened to music. CDs replaced cassettes. Walkmans evolved into portable CD players. People made mixed CDs, burned their favorite tracks, and shared music in ways the world had never seen before. MTV was the beating heart of music culture. Music videos became mini-movies, stylish, dramatic, visually iconic. A music video could launch an artist's career overnight. And some of the most memorable visuals in music history came from this era. But the decade wasn't without tragedy. The loss of Kurt Cobain in 1994 shook the world, leaving a void in the music scene. Tupac and Biggie's murders marked the end of an era in hip-hop. These losses became defining scars on the decade, moments fans would remember forever. By the end of the 90s, the world was changing again. The internet was growing. Digital music was on the horizon. New stars were emerging, new sounds were forming. But the influence of the 90s remained strong, powerful, unforgettable. Because the 1990s weren't just a decade of music. They were a revolution. A turning point. A cultural rebirth that shaped everything that came after it. Whether you grew up with grunge, danced to Eurodance, memorized hip-hop lyrics, or blasted pop hits on your CD player, the 90s live on, not just in nostalgia, but in every song, every artist, and every genre inspired by the decade that changed music forever.